Hi everyone. Today I'm joined by my colleague Olivia Scott and talented hockey player, and we're going to discuss all things hockey and sports psychology. So I thrust an example here to Olivia. So supposing I'm not a confident hockey player, I have a lot going on in my head, a lot of self-doubt before a game, and I tend to start games slowly and tentatively. What advice would you offer me from your hockey and sports psychology expertise?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things to look at here. Obviously you've got that like starting slow, which I would say is probably a result of the lack of confidence. So maybe the biggest thing to tackle to start with would be kind of helping them you gain some confidence and like have some belief in yourself beforehand, and kind of let that domino the rest and the start of your game, and all the like lots going on in your head and stuff. Um,
Okay,
and I'm
so
guessing it's negative, everything else going on in the head.
yeah, definitely. If there's self-doubts there. Yeah, it's going to be, as you say,
Mhm.
it's going to be a lot, and it is going to be a lot of pounds, and I can't do this, I can't do that, etc. So yeah, to for me to help give my self-confidence and I suppose
Mhm.
mentally prepare at the start of the game, what could I do?
I think one of the great things is having a routine to do before you play, and having like the set routine that you do to kind of help you get into the zone of playing, instead of maybe like ruminating on how it's going to go, if it's going to go badly, and like all these negative things that could happen. Kind of having a set routine that like starts getting you in the process of getting ready to play, whether that starts the night before with what you eat and going to bed earlier, and then the day of, whether you like stretch and like let yourself get really relaxed before you play, and or like a different range of routines, and it's figuring out what works best beforehand, and then getting yourself in the best like mindset possible before going into that game, to really like give yourself that step up before starting.
Yeah, I
um,
love that. I know I've used that in my work as well. So
mm,
in effect, we're looking at what 24 hours, potentially even 48 hours before when you actually start thinking an awful lot about the game, and that's going to
mhm.
be for
Yeah,
different
and I think
people.
imagery comes into that a lot as well, whether it be you um kind of going through this imagery process of what you want the game to look like, and what sort of things you want to get in the game, whether it's scoring a goal or doing a really key tackle, and kind of imagining that scenario and what you would do and how it would react, and kind of having that imagery process before you even play, to kind of almost have that to start you off before anything even happens.
Yeah, no, I agree that I think
Mm.
you'll hear like lots of athletes will they'll say the night before a game, the morning of a game, they'll they'll go through those routines. They might even, if I think back, going back a few years now, but Wayne Rooney, when he played football for Man United, I'm pretty sure there's stuff out there saying he used to lie on his bed in his Man United kit and make it as real as possible. So yeah, really, really sound good advice.
Mm.
One other thing as well, I think for people to consider with this, you be dependent on the personality of the person as well. I know I've
Mm.
come across scenarios where like some people might be more introverted and want to like be in the corner of the changing rooms, if you like, for a game, whereas other people they'll have music on, they'll be dancing and giving themselves loads
Yeah.
of energy. And have you come across that? And I suppose like you play hockey now competitively as well. Do you see that on a regular basis?
Yeah, you definitely do. And people like one person's like nightmare might just be sitting on them by themselves before a game, when it's someone else's like little mind palace to be on them by themselves. It's like their perfect scenario. So I think you can't blanket one piece of advice for everyone, because it is obviously so different. And it's figuring out what's the best for you. And like when I play, there's someone that stretches, like the entire team talk will like sit in the ground and stretch and get in there like in the zone, where someone else is like playing the music and putting getting them in the right mood and putting all the tunes on and like those differences, but they work in the same way, just with like different like roles to get there. But yeah, I think it's just figuring out what would work best for you beforehand, and it isn't like the same. It's completely different. Completely opposing ends can work and have like just as good as the other one.
Yeah, not completely agree. And I suppose as we'll fast forward a little bit. So we talked about the changing rooms. The warm-up's going to be really important as well, isn't it? To some people, I can imagine, and again, I've seen it where some people place so much attention on the warm-up, and if they have a terrible warm-up, they've made that assumption straight away that they're going to have a terrible game. But you know, it's not true, really, is it?
No.
No, I bet you'll have had some games where you've had a terrible warm-up and probably had a great game.
Yeah, there's been a few terrible warm-ups, and I think there's also been not just like if I have a terrible warm-up, but if I see like other people on my team having a bad warm-up, it can like affect all of us. But I think one of the best things that I do is to kind of separate the two. As much as warmth is important, like physically to get you ready for the game, and mentally it can put you in the zone. Like if it's a bad one, it doesn't have to dictate how the game goes, and kind of like if it is bad, just putting an end to that, like pushing it to the side and starting from the game and not thinking about what's going on earlier. And it's obviously easier said than done, and it might take a bit of practice, just kind of letting it all set behind you. But it's super effective when I do it. If I have like a slow warm up, just to kind of like draw a line under it and start the game completely differently.
Do you think there's an argument as well to say that trying to personalize the warm up to, or at least personalize bits of the warm up to help yourself, is an important one? Because obviously in team sports on a regular basis, it can be very easy just to fall into the trap of doing exactly what everybody else does and what you're told to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but obviously you can take ownership, can't you, and do some little extras there, but it's going to help you.
Yeah, and I see a lot of like the forwards when I play, will go and do like shots on goal, and we'll go and like work on the backhand and like get them in the zone that way. Whereas I, as like more of a defending role, will go and like play with someone like one-on-one and like get a bit of like tackling in beforehand and just like preparing physically that way as well.
Like that. And I suppose one other thing we haven't talked about in terms of the mental preparation would be your expectations, being aware of your expectations. I mean, how powerful can that be in your experience of just having that awareness of, like I say, of your expectations, of your beliefs, and how that goes on to give your performance?
Yeah, massively. I think if you have good expectations and beliefs in yourself, it can really set up you for like all aspects of you playing. But that's to say as well, you can't just tell someone to start believing in themselves straight away. Like if I'd like tell you to believe something, you need a bit of evidence behind it as well. So maybe like anytime you do have like you score a really good goal, or you get like man of the match or something, kind of taking note and remembering that and helping them to like manage your expectations of what future games are going to be like, and having realistic expectations, so you're not desperately sad if something doesn't go well and you don't reach those expectations because you just set them as a bit too high. Whether it's like 10 goals in one game is not realistic, but having maybe scoring one goal or assisting in a goal and having those realistic expectations and then meeting them can be a massive boost and really, really help confidence.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there where you're talking about like shots on goal and mistakes and things like that. So if let's go with an attacking player for argument's sake. I'm an attacking player. Now, if I was to get 10 shots away on goal, I've seen it where if I've asked that question to a client where people have turned around and said, yeah, from those 10, I expect to score 8, 9 times. I mean, it's unrealistic, isn't it? When you look at what actually like top professionals do. Top professionals will probably miss 6 of those 10. They might score 4 or 10. But then I think just having that awareness, then it helps you be a bit kinder to yourself, doesn't it? And it shifts your focus when you do actually go on to make those mistakes and miss.
Yeah, I think it's being a bit kinder with failure as well with that, because if you setting yourself up with scoring 8 out of 10 goals and you like when you it's maybe what you expect of yourself, but realistically it's not that. And if you don't hit them, having that failure is often difficult to deal with and having that. So I mean, even if it's saying you score 4 out of the 10, and then if it feels low, it just means if you hit it or go over it, then it's going to feel even better. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing to kind of set realistic expectations on that, like making them a bit lower, because it then you hit them and then you go over them and it can feel even better than say like getting the 8 out of the 10.
Yeah, most definitely, because it's going to free you up, isn't it? If you do have that little bit of leeway there, whereas straight away, if you missed 2 opportunities in the first 5-10 minutes of the game, and you're thinking, right, every time I get a shot now, I've got to score, then you hit the target, you're putting yourself under so much pressure. So yeah, that again, that as we say, is going to have a big impact on self-doubt and your confidence for a game. So yeah, is there anything else to add, do you think, in terms of how we can help that player start the game faster?
I think that is a good cover. I would say maybe really thinking about like the imagery beforehand and maybe introducing some goals for yourself, so that when you hit them next time, when you have the next game, you feel a bit more confident that way.
Yeah, well, on that topic, we'll wrap up in a minute or two. Where you talked about goals, process goals would be ideal, wouldn't they? Really, and that could be, depending on the player's position, things like just handing the ball, rating yourself out of 10, your movements or moving into spaces so you're available for the ball. Is that the sort of thing you meant?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone gets quite focused on like outcome goals as well. So like having that process and like performance goals as well are really important.
Yeah, massively, because the reason for those process goals is they're under your control. Nobody else can open your mouth and talk. Nobody else can move with your legs. It's you. Whereas, as you say, like the assists or the shooting, the like statistics in that way, you're relying a lot on your teammates, aren't you, and other people, or the opposition for that matter as well. So yeah, no, that's well, I've really enjoyed the 15-20 minutes or so. It's been insightful, and hope you the audience get a lot from it. And there'll be more coming very soon from myself and Olivia and other guests as well. Thank you.